take a few if you have any questions. I'd love to take a couple. And for anybody that answers a question, you get a free copy of Chief Content Officer magazine. There you go, right up here. Thank you. Wait, hold on, he's coming with the mic.
So with a very niche target audience, how do you start to develop that data about where they are and how they're behaving online?
If you are, let's say if you're a small company, you don't have like a robust, Salesforce Radian 6 type of a thing, easiest way to do it is just Google Alerts, see what people are talking about. The data in Google that if you're an AdWords customer, the data that you can get in there is priceless. I love Google Trends. I don't know if you've used Google Trends before. I love to use Google Trends. I love to look at the breakout phrases in Google Trends. It's fantastic. Trade magazines. And then probably the number one thing is talk to your customers. What I found is that most marketers never even talk to customers at all at any point in the year or any year prior to that. And I think if we actually talk to customers, and then second to that would be actually talking to salespeople. But first is talk to customers, second after I talk to a customer is when I get most ideas about new content. And then we share that with the editorial team, like, wow, this is their challenge, this is what they're dealing with. And then you can really figure out, wow, with what we do, here's our opportunity. I don't know what I did. Does that answer your question? Thank you. You have time for one more? Okay, question right here. He's right behind you. You're good. There you go. Very good.
Joe, thank you for your enthusiasm
because
it's catching and we're all very excited. So just a couple thoughts about how to help steer organizational expectations around content marketing, because you mentioned product marketing,
yep,
which is unique and different. So just a couple thoughts about how do you steer all the groups that want those product sheets versus some of the content that's much more different?
Well, first of all, content marketing isn't a replacement for anything. Although I could make a case in some areas that you should do a little bit more of some things than others. But content marketing doesn't replace advertising. It doesn't replace PR. I think it can work with them and help tell your story overall. So I think that's the first thing to realize. The second thing is I would get a win and get a single in the organization. We call it doing a pilot. So in the organization, if you've got somebody that wants to try something, set a small goal, set a 6-month time limit, and then go through that pilot program and say, okay, here's our goals, here's our expectation, here's our hypothesis, and how are we going to tell that story? We're going to do it through a blog, or we're going to do it through an email newsletter. We're going to try to get subscribers and try to tell how those subscribers are different. Are they customers? Are they not? Or maybe look at it as sales enablement. Oh, I'm working with the sales team on this. By the way, a good example, because it seems like you're talking about sales enablement. Kelly Services does a great job where every week they put together an email out to sales and say, oh, if you're focusing on financial versus healthcare, here's different pieces of content that you can use to spread out on LinkedIn, and they've helped shorten the sales cycle because of that. So little things like that. Try those things, set a time limit, get some people in the room that say, here's what we're trying, we're going to do it. Once you get 1 or 2 of those salespeople talking about it, they'll be your champions for you. But a lot of times I see, oh, we're going to do the big project, and they try to hit the home run, and it almost invariably fails. So try to hit a single, focus on a small one, maybe take a salesperson that really wants to try something different, and then start there, do a 6-month pilot, and give it a shot. Yeah. So.
We take one more.
One more question, in the back.
Oh, did I get it?
All right. You. It's you.
I'm going to do a dangerous thing and ask your opinion on something.
Sure.
Internal debate in my marketing department. At what point are you looking at allowing people to read your content and then asking them for who they are, their information?
Couple things on that. So basically, are you going to gate the content or not? There's 2 different goals there, right? You've got, if you are gating that information in some way, obviously that's a lead gen or a demand generation goal. The problem is when I see most people put up, and there's a horrible story of a client that thankfully we didn't work with that spent $30,000 on putting a white paper together and got 2 downloads. And no, by the way, those downloads didn't become customers. So it was a big issue there. You've got to if you're looking at, my opinion of overall content, let's say 100% of your content out there and how much of that 100% should be behind some kind of a form, probably 1% is behind a form. Most of the stuff that you create should be feeding into it, you'd be sharing, it should be found on Google organically. You should be talking about, you should be adding to the communication in the industry, and then focus on a couple really amazing downloads that you can get people to subscribe to. You will be much more successful, because if you don't do all that other stuff, you're going to have to buy. And by the way, it's okay. You can buy you can buy AdWords, you can do a lot of native advertising, you can do a lot of things to get attention today, but you're not organically going to create that audience. So I would say, in my opinion, what I've seen, and we've done work with a lot of associations on this, because most association content is behind a firewall, and we had to talk with them and say, look, everybody else is giving this information out for free. What you have behind a firewall, nobody's going to want it. You've got to give some really good stuff out to persuade them that you've got something intelligent and trustful to say, and then they'll sign up to some of your stuff and actually give you information. So I would say 1 or 2% at the most. So I don't know if that's what you wanted to hear, but I would unleash it. Put your goodness out. Don Schultz, anybody know Don Schultz? Don Schultz at University of Northwestern. He's one of my mentors, Northwestern Journalism School. He wrote a great book called Integrated Marketing Communications, and he says, look, our competitors can copy everything we do today except one thing, our communication. You have an opportunity to outcompete your competition with your communications. If it's hidden behind a wall, nobody going to find it, hard to compete. Unleash that, and then give some stuff that leads them down a path to that download. So,
Back to your other, you talked about the pilot before.
Yes.
Might be an interesting way to prove that or demonstrate that inside the organization is take a little piece and see what happens from a lead gen standpoint of changing that mix as part of their content, instead of having them just make some philosophical change.
Basically talking about, and absolutely, I think that's a great way to do it. Test it. You can absolutely test it. We're going to do it this time with this one, do this one, or if you could somehow A/B test that a little bit, it would be a great way to do it. Thank you for that. Thank you very much. I really appreciate being here. Thanks for having me.